No, mate, first things first, thank you so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, mad love for that.
Like proper mad love, really appreciate it. Mate, we've been watching your content for ages, like we said earlier, and mate, it feels sick that we're here having a conversation.
Yeah, and also, mate, you are sound. Like, genuinely so sound off the bat. And
have I changed your opinion of bald guys?
Of course not, mate.
Genuinely, mate, taken back by like how sound it's been, and also just like how much you've sorted us out today already, like with the cameras, with getting everything ready for us, and sort of teaching us a few things off the bat.
Yeah, amazing, mate. Really, really appreciate it.
At the end of the day, right, the whole point in life, lads, is that you're on this planet to help people move through whatever they've got to move through. You know what I mean? If you can make other people's lives a little bit more easier, you know, help people learn from your lessons, that's a great thing, you know. And a lot of people in life are trying to keep everything to themselves and trying to move through life at a speed of knots, but by giving nothing to anyone else. I think if you can just give more, you'll get more back anyway.
Mate, you're bang on. And also, like, when me and Cal went out to grab the microphones, Cal literally said to me, that's exactly how I want to be with guests that are coming up when we get to your level, for example. And I said to Cal, I couldn't be any other way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like energy is like reciprocated.
Yeah, we talk about it so much, don't we? The whole energy situation, about whatever energy you put out, it's exactly what you get back.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That one good deed or being nice to someone could then lead to something else that leads to something else, and it all just connects somehow.
Well, being kind doesn't cost anyone anything. That's what we all have to fundamentally understand. Just be kind to as many people as possible, and you never know the internal conversation going on in someone's head. Like, before you got here today, you don't know how what I've experienced, how many I could have experienced a fucking deep trauma this morning that neither of you two know about. Yeah, so you can only just be as kind as you can be, but always understand that you don't know the internal conversation going on in someone else's head.
Yeah. Do you believe in karma, bro?
Karma is 100% a thing. Yeah, 100%. Karma is a thing, and you get all types of karma. You get karma from what you do, and also there can even be karma from generational stuff that's come through family lineage. If you read into it, if you read in depth into it, I mean, I don't know how deep you want to go into it, but I've just read a lot of literature on how karma 100% exists. And you can, to cut a long story short, if you put out the wrong energy consistently in life and wonder why certain things and certain patterns keep happening in your life, you'd be good to look at the karma of things. Like, if you change the way that you turn up to the world, if you just think about it for a second, every interaction you have with people, how are you speaking to them? How are you moving? How are you treating people? Like, if I go and take 50 grand off someone in a way over here, and it's in a non-ethical way where there's not an equal value exchange, it would be fair to, I've made money in that initial period, but then on the other side of the coin, further down the track at some point in time, karma is going to come into play, and someone's going to take something from me, and I'm going to be served a lesson by the world. At that point in time, it's up to me whether I learn the lesson and understand the karma and understand that karma truly exists, which it does in this world, or I ignore it and I carry on again and I do something stupid again and I get paid another lesson. Life is all about life is simply a lot of lessons and a lot of triggers, and these lessons and these triggers are here to serve you with something that you can learn from. It's just whether a human will get quiet enough with themselves to learn that lesson.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. You're a big advocate of karma as well,
yeah,
aren't you?
Definitely. But I think the issue that I probably found, and probably what a lot of other people found, is being able to be conscious at the time, to be able to try and really, really consciously think of the thoughts. So think of the thought pattern. That's the difficult part. Because if you're not thinking of the thought pattern that might be out of line, that's causing all of these issues, like the stem of it is discovering the conscious thought pattern and then being able to learn from it. And it's the stem is the hardest point, which I found in my journey. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not there yet, but that's the hardest point that I found. I don't know how you found it, Jack.
It's a difficult one, because I think that sometimes I act on emotion, like we were talking about before this. You know, sometimes I will act in the moment and not actually think about the repercussions of that action. So when I do that, and then I look in hindsight, I'm like, I wasn't able to catch the conscious thought. And I find that's like the most difficult part to like deal with, if that makes sense. I 100% believe in karma as well. I'm like, how can you not? But I haven't heard the depths of it and probably haven't done as much research.
You can change the conscious part of it is the easiest part to change because it's conscious. So you know the difference inherently. When you were a child, you were born innocent, and you know the difference between right and wrong from a child. Many of us that listen to this. The subconscious is what you want to actually work on changing. So, for argument's sake, I don't want to talk about your stuff on here without your permission. But if there's something in your life where something triggers you, right, and serves you a lesson, as we spoke about before, when that trigger comes up and serves you that lesson, you've now got an opportunity to go into the subconscious and actually figure out where that trigger first occurred. Why do I feel that way? Because if something triggers you, say, for argument's sake, say your girlfriend does something and it, for some reason, it really makes you angry. And when you go through a 5 why processes in why does this make me angry, you write down some bullshit reason, then you go into more depth and more depth and more depth. You get to it that you feel inadequate in some way. And that inadequacy might come from when you were 8 years old, when you didn't get picked for the school football team and you felt inadequate. So when your girlfriend did this thing to you the other day, and when other people have done other things to you throughout your life, it's just kept flicking this switch in your mind, which makes you revert to type, which goes into your subconscious and makes you repeat the pattern. So all humans are a series of patterns and events that have happened to them. They've stored the emotion in them at a cellular level, and then they're executing on that all the time. They're literally in a pattern all the time. They're just going round and round and round and round and round again. And it doesn't matter. The same pattern will keep presenting itself until you move through it. And it will present itself. Today it might be a woman that triggers you and into that pattern, and tomorrow it might be some old man at the till in the shopping centre, and 16 weeks time it might be someone else. It might be a parent. The whole point of life, in my opinion, whilst we're on this planet, whilst we're on this physical plane, is to go through life understanding that anything that triggers you is something to learn from. Karma, yes, it exists, but even holding grudges and other stuff like that just stores in emotions into you at a cellular level that disempower your growth and disempower your vibration, because we're all vibrational beings, right? So it's about constantly looking on how you can elevate, and the only way that you can elevate is by working on things that might cause you a little bit of pain in the initial period, but the pain is a lesson, and the lesson is what you want.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. But what does that process actually look like? Like, how is like that in itself? Like, how do you tangibly actually apply that to yourself?
Well, I've had to learn it the hard way. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. So, my life has been involved a lot in boxing.
Yeah,
and I realised that I wasn't perhaps going to be a top professional boxer, so I went into the professional training side of boxing. I became one of the youngest licensed pro trainers in Britain at the time. To get a pro license, there was 1,000 of us, 1,200 at the time, of which I was the youngest, right?
So were you boxing before that?
So I'll give you the story. So yeah, I was playing around in the boxing game, but I wasn't at the level where I wanted to, where I could go on and achieve what I wanted to achieve. So I pivoted into the trainer space, because I'm still in the, I want to be a part of this because I feel like this is meant for me. I'm meant to be doing this. So I go into become one of the youngest licensed pro trainers, and I'd built my whole life around the identity of being this pro boxing trainer now, right? So I'd attached my identity to the physical point of being this boxing trainer, right? So I go on this whole journey for 5 years, not knowing that, unbeknownst to me, that this is all a dick swinging competition now. This is all about proving to the world that even though I couldn't be the top boxer, I can be the top coach. But here's the thing that I'm identifying to people throughout this story. What am I trying to prove, and who am I trying to prove it to, and why am I trying to prove it? Right? This is what I should have been thinking, but I wasn't. I was completely switched off to that. I didn't know this at the time. So I go through this whole journey. my dream, my vision board, everything that I dreamt of was all on this one pinnacle event. This one pinnacle event for me was working a world title fight as a professional boxing trainer. Yeah. And being one of the youngest to ever do it. I get there. Frank Greaves invites me to the corner with Jeff Horn versus Gary Cochran. So to put it into context, Jeff Horn's
unreal. Yeah.
Just beaten. He didn't beat him. I was ringside, but it was a cheated decision. But on paper, he beat Manny Pacquiao, right? I was ringside in Brisbane for that fight. Not a chance was that a win, but let's just go past that. The next fight is fighting Gary Cochran. I know Gary Cochran from the Peacock Gym from years gone by. Frank Greaves invites me to the corner with him. So now I've just elevated and I'm that world title trainer. So we walk out. I've built this event up my whole life. This is it now. I get to prove to people that even though I wasn't good enough to do this, and this, and this, now I'm good enough to be the trainer. I'm good enough to be this is what I'm good enough, right?
The penultimate moment.
Yeah, this is the penultimate moment. So I've built this event up. I'm feeling it. You walk out to the ring. We stood there. You got Michael Buffer in the middle announcing it. You got Gary bouncing there. You got Cochran bouncing there. Gary Cochran bouncing there. You got Jeff Horn bouncing there. It's 15,000 fucking people. This is meant to be the fucking pinnacle dream. Yeah. So I'm stood there and I'm looking out at the crowd, and it dawned on me that I'd spent my whole life with my ladder leant against the wrong wall. I'd spent my whole life trying to prove what to who. And that's the thing that I had to figure out. Why was I trying to prove? Why was I trying to think? And when I went through all that, what it came down to was, and what my whole life has come down to is, I didn't feel love from my mum. It wasn't because my mum didn't give me love. I just didn't feel loved. I didn't feel loved by mum. You know, and then that manifested in all areas of my life. I didn't feel love. I didn't feel love and connection with women. I didn't feel love from my mum. I didn't feel love from society. I didn't feel love in a lot of areas of my life, right? So that's how it all manifested.
Did you grow up with just your mum?
No. I grew up with my sister, my mum, my dad. But my whole life I figured out that I'd been trying to prove something to someone, anyone, because I felt that lack of love. Well, if I hadn't have stood there and identified with myself, hang on a minute, I'm leaning my ladder against the wrong wall. What am I trying to prove here? And gone. So you were asking me how I went through. So I went back to the change room and I go back home, right? And I'm sat there and I'm having a pity party because this was meant to be the biggest event of my life, right? And I'm trying to figure out, why do I feel so empty right now?
Yeah. In that moment, you felt empty.
Yeah, I felt completely empty. I thought, what is this for? I feel fucking empty. Like there's nothing. I've spent 5-6 years. Imagine I was in tears because I spent 5 or 6 years of my life chasing this moment. And when the moment came that I'd put it on this pinnacle, it felt like nothing. Absolutely nothing to me. It didn't mean anything to me. It truly wasn't even, when you break it down, what I truly wanted.
Bro, this is too much because like it's giving me a flashback to like a pinnacle memory or something that I want in the future. And I'm like, that phrase, I was leaning my ladder on the wrong wall, is like hitting me because I'm like, I feel like that right now. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
I know exactly the thought that I'm thinking I want. And then I hear that from you and I'm just like, am I chasing the wrong thing?
This is the culmination of it, right? So I'm sat there, and I'm thinking to myself, the internal conversation is like this. It's like, so you've spent six years, you've had a boxing gym, you've had pros come through, you've chased this moment, it doesn't feel right, and I'm having this pity party, and then the universe has ways to tell you things and to move you through things and to make you listen. The universe has ways of doing that. I get a message on my phone from my mum. The message goes, can you give me a call like as soon as possible? So I give her a call. Bearing in mind, this was the biggest night of my life. I'm meant to be fucking flying right now. My sister's son has been taken to a heart hospital in London. He's under emergency surgery after being born like weeks and weeks ago. months ago, and he's died for 12 minutes, and they've brought him round and they've found a hole in his heart, right? This is happening at that moment, the same moment as I feel like empty, like I want the world to swallow me up, like I don't even so much as to say that, like, I never got to that point, but like this, I felt like, fuck, I don't do I even want to live right now? And then all of a sudden, the universe is saying to me, here's something you love unconditionally, and he's died for 12 minutes, right? Wake up call, snap right back out of that. And I just kind of felt in that moment that this was all to shock me and make me look at my life and how I was living my life. I was living my life and running my whole life through someone else's lens. I was living unauthentically because I was Frankie Lee, the boxing trainer. But was I really Frankie Lee, the boxing trainer? Who is Frankie Lee? What is he about? What is he actually? Who is this man? Like, do I even recognize him? Do you know what I'm saying? So, if you continue to go through your life and don't listen to the whispers, you'll get hit with a bang. This was the bang that I got hit with. I got hit with the right hand. So obviously, thankfully, he recovered and he went through all that. But it was the shockwave that I needed on the end of my pity party to pull me back in the room. And the way that I went, we were talking about how can other people use this in their life. Because I want to make it about the audience, because I want you guys to get something from this, not just be a story about my life. Do you know what I'm saying? The way that I unpacked it, and the way that I think you guys can unpack it that listen to this, is simply this. I had to go back and be what I term as radically honest with myself, and unpack why I felt it. So I realized when I unpacked, when I was sitting there with this piece of paper writing down, everything I didn't like about my life. Why do I feel this way? I did the 5 why statements, like, why do I feel this lack of love? Why do I feel like, it was actually through the 5 whys that I discovered that I felt the lack of love, which allowed me to get to the actual true trigger of why I'm doing it. Because when you think about someone who goes abroad, right? I've got my whole family here. I come from a beautiful family, unconditional love, this, that, and the other. I had to figure out what drove me away to why go to Australia for like 8.5 years, because I thought it was always about chasing a lifestyle. But when I unpacked it on this piece of paper in front of me, it wasn't even about that. I was running away because I felt this lack of love, right? And when I unpacked why I felt the lack of love in my life, it was because I didn't realize this as a child. It was only something that triggered me. Perhaps I always thought there was a bit of a disconnect between me and my mum, and this is how like generational trauma comes into it, and trauma of the womb comes into it for males and females when they're born. That not a lot of people understand, that you can pick up a lot of the traumas that you experience throughout your adult life in the womb, and it's your job to go back and sort those out as quickly as possible. Otherwise, they'll manifest in your reality of the world that you live in today, right? So I didn't realize this, but at 14 years old, I found out that there was that I thought it was just me and my sister. But at 14 years old, I found out that there was another child that was born, right? And that child was called Michelle. And Michelle had died of spina bifida like a week after being born, right? And my mum was told she couldn't have children again. So now you picture the scene. You've got a woman that's told she can't have children again. Yeah. She's now pregnant with me. Would naturally have the fear of God in her because she's had to lose a child.
She's nervous.
She's nervous. She's giving me all what energy is being transmuted to me in the womb.
Yeah? Oh, that's mad.
There's a distant energy. There's a disparity between me and my mum. Right? She's gonna even when the child's born, she's not gonna know, is he gonna live? Is he gonna die? Is he gonna be here longer than a week? Right? What must that woman be feeling right now? So I had found out that I'd resented my mum for the lack of love for all my life. I thought, fucking, why does this woman not love me? Why does she feel this way? Rah, rah, rah. Her fault. Run away, Frankie, run away. Go to Australia, do this, do that, have a dick swinging competition, prove this, prove that. All my life, lived like that, in that mode. I realised when I sat back and thought about it, when I discovered this when I put all the pieces together on this piece of paper, I realised, first time in my life, how must that woman must be feeling? How must she be feeling right now? Yeah. when you put yourself in the position of others and how they must be feeling, you start to become more peaceful with the trigger and how you feel, and you can then use that as fuel to move yourself forward. You can then use that as something, as the lesson it's meant to be intended from it, right? But if you keep that as that, you know, is with the ego attached to it, and it's like someone else's fault, or you put blame on something else, or whatever. If you keep doing that in your life, you're giving your power away, and you're giving your ability to move through the situation away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
And then you lose all the beauty of all the lessons. And it was a very, very, very powerful moment for me in my life, because it allowed me to find peace with my mum, which then healed my ability to have relationships with women in my life as well.
So when you did go through that process, did you speak to your mum after it in regards to how you had felt throughout the, you know, the past years and whatnot?
Yeah, I made a flight back to England when I was about 30 years old. I'm 34 now. I made a flight back to England and tried to have the conversation, but I approached the conversation through the wrong lens. It was only a couple of years later, when I'd done the work, I'd now found the podcast, I'd now done all the stuff that I was doing, I'd done the spiritual work and all this kind of stuff, and started to put it together more, that I could then articulate what I needed to say and explain it to her in a better way. How
did you approach the conversation to start with? The wrong way?
I still went in there with the I'm right, you're wrong mentality, which is completely the wrong way to approach women anyway. Let's be honest. Like you're never going to get nowhere with a woman if you approach her from that you're right. You're not getting anywhere with that. Like, let's be honest. But especially your mum. Do you know what I mean? I approached it when I thought about it from understanding, and then completely threw out the understanding when I went into the conversation. You can't do that. You have to approach people for understanding. If you think about any conversation that you have from this moment forward, if you always first and foremost think about how this person must be feeling and what this person's been through and dealt with, that is going to leave you with a conversation that allows you the most fruitful outcome for all parties. And that, whether that's in business, whether that's in life, whether that's with your girlfriend, whether that's with a partner, it just all comes out from the ability to see a different perspective.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. It's also weird, I don't know about you, Cal, but like the relationship with my mum is like the most complex relationship in my life by far. And it's because of everything that's, you know, happened throughout my life with her. But like something about it just seems like a lot more difficult to like manage, if that makes sense. Like there's no one I get more hot at than my mum. Do you know what I mean? There's no one I get more angry at than my mum. And she might not even be doing anything, but like I don't know why, I just get snappy about it.
Yeah. The thing is though, your situation with your mum might be a little bit more unique than other people. Because like my situation with my mum is like, I'm super blessed. Like I'm so blessed to have my mum how she is, and blessed to have like even though my parents split up, like have a functioning family, and like I appreciate that so much. But then again, on the flip side, sometimes I think like, do I appreciate it enough? I think I appreciate it, but do I actually appreciate it enough than what I should appreciate it? And like sometimes that's a difficult thought pattern for me to have, because like I think sometimes with the stuff that like my mum's done, and like I take it for granted because she does it all the time, and it's the same with my dad as well. And also it might be the same with certain other people that are close to me, like they do so much for me, but do I take it for granted because they do it all the time? Do I appreciate it enough? And like I find it hard to have those thought processes sometimes. I find it hard to like fathom it and like almost really comprehend it. That's sometimes what I struggle with. I don't know if you've ever felt that before. I
think it all comes down to starting with gratitude. And it's something I've had to learn the hard way. It's like even this moment that I'm in my life right now. I mean, we're sat in my apartment. I paid it off when I was 30, you know, but and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the work that went in, and I'm grateful for what I've got and all this kind of stuff. I'm grateful. But there has been times when I've been in England, and because I'm not living that Australian life anymore, because I'm not at the beach and I haven't got this and that, I've become ungrateful. I'm like, why is my life shit? It's not shit. It's just you're in a moment of time, and that moment of time right now requires you to be in England to move through what you got to move through, to move how you got to move, right? Just have gratitude for where you're at, because where you're at is where you're meant to be.
But how do you differentiate the thought of gratitude to the actual feeling of it? Because they're two different things.
You've got to practice it.
You got to, you see, you could spend as much time as you like trying to differentiate between feeling it and thinking it and all that stuff. But all you have to do to get grateful is get a pad and a pen and start writing. All like, I'm grateful that I have my mum's alive. I'm grateful that I get to see my niece and nephew. I'm grateful for the fact that I own an apartment. I'm grateful for the fact that I have my health. I'm grateful for the fact that I get to go to the gym. I get to. In your life, rather than every word that you say, I have to go and pick the kids up. I have to go to work. I get to go to work. I get to pick the kids up. I get to go to the gym. I get. When you change everything to I get rather than I have, your life will change, because you're just changing the thought pattern in your mind of how you operate and how you move as a human being. And that it's those little 1% things that change the way you think and change the way you move subconsciously that then change your life on the outside. Because let me tell you, just like being broke, for argument's sake, isn't a condition of the physical world. It's a condition of the mind. Yeah. If you want to change your reality in real life, you just have to change your mindset. Everything is mindset
over everything. It's weird because like you usually know what to do anyway. So like if you are feeling like down or you are feeling low, like if you bang the gym, you eat clean, you meditate, you do your gratitude, you do your positive affirmations, like if you give it 2 weeks and you've got momentum, you already feel better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Stack wins. Spend your whole life just stacking wins. And but a win is a 1% thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge win. Because I get caught up in it as well, and I'm sure many of the listeners might as well, is that you get caught up wanting to have the big win all the time. And it's like when you don't get that big win, you don't feel the little wins that come from not getting that big win.
I'm at this point in my life, I'm going through a few changes, and a couple of the changes that are coming about are in business and stuff like that. And there's because I didn't put certain focus in certain areas, it's cost me a lot of money. But it didn't cost me a lot of money on day one. It cost me a lot of money over time. Do you catch what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nothing. You don't lose a lot of revenue in one day. Invariably, you lose that at 1% daily over a lot of time. People think that when you lose the business deal and you lose 300 grand, right, that you lose that in one day. No, you fucking don't. No, you don't. You've lost that over a series of days. You didn't lose your physique over one day. You didn't have six pack and a chest yesterday and then it just disappear. You lost that over 8-9 months of abuse.
Bang on, mate.
1% daily.
That is bang on.
So just like you build all your success at 1% daily, you destroy it all at 1% daily.
Yeah.
So if that's the truth then, and we all agree, then everyone that listens to this, right, should just look at which way at 1% daily you're compounding right now, right? Because if you get to choose how you compound. Like if I just go out and hit 3 dating apps and just go and put sexual energy all over the world and just start banging 15 different women, right? Connecting into 15 different sexual energies, yeah? I've taken it here because it's the thing that most people can resonate with, yeah? The hookup culture that we
Yeah, mate, I hear that. Yeah, we've all been there as well.
We've all been there. Plus, women are out there hooking up more promiscuously than ever before, right?
Massively as well.
That is the 1% in your that 1% compounded over weeks, months, and this. That'll leave you the most soulless, the most empty feeling, and you in that area of your life, you'll wonder why you feel certain ways. That's because you've just been connected to another human being that's been connected to another 15 human beings, and you're living in that energy bubble. And that's why you can't move. That's why you can't move forward. That's why you'll feel when you're connected to someone at that level, you will feel you can be away from that person, and you'll wonder why. Why do I feel so fucking low today? I don't actually feel low, but I just feel fucking low. Does that make sense? And it's because you've just shared an energy center with someone else that that has some dark energy, or has been with someone that has some dark energy, that now you are living in that theory. So it's like these things. So if you compound that at 1% daily, you are taking yourself away potentially from what you want, unless that is your goal. So you have to, the first thing you have to get clear on is, what are my goals in life? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? Well, okay, now you kind of have an outline of where you want to be and who you want to, and how you want to move. Well, no, you get the outline of where you want to be. Then you go, okay, well, if I want to be there, how the fuck do I have to move as a human being to get there and stay there and do that? How does that human move? What does he do? How does he feel? How does he operate? How does he dress? How does he think? How does he treat people? What's his style like? Do you know, all these things as a man, as a woman, it's fucking important. When you get clear on that piece, now you have a list of non-negotiables then that come in under that. Okay, what does that person do every day, and what does he not fucking do? What does she not do? How does she not operate? Well, if she wants to be the woman with the skincare brand that's earning $300,000 a month, then is she going to be the woman that's going to be sleeping with 5 different guys? Probably fucking not.
No chance.
Because that's going to put her energy all over the place, and that's going to make her scattered, which is going to make her not focus on her product, which means her e-com brand's not going to be as good, right? Because she's thinking about Steve, about fucking Wayne, and about fucking Dwayne over here. You can't be doing that. You can't have your energy scattered like that. So when you know your goal, then you can figure out who you got to be and how you got to turn up, and then you can set up a list of the do's and don't do's. Like, I'm about to go celibate again in my life, right?
Mad. That's actually mad.
Because every time I do, my life changes in a dramatic way.
How long are you going to go for this time?
I've done 100 days. I want to do like another 100 days.
100 days is insane, by the way, isn't it?
That is insane.
I want to do 100 days, no sex.
What do you actually want to get from that, though?
Clarity. As a man, you because you want to attract. You only attract the woman into your life. You don't go out and find her. You don't go out and find the woman. She finds you. No matter what anyone tells you. You attract them into your life. You meet them in search, because the way you move as a man it determines what you attract, right?
Yeah, bang on.
So I will move different. I will operate different. I will elevate myself, and everything else will line up, right? I don't want to be a man that goes in the pursuit of women. I don't want to be a man that's on dating apps. I don't want to move like that. It doesn't align with me. I know who I want to be, and I know who I want to turn up. It's just about action in that. And when I've actioned that in my life before, in my business environment, my numbers went up. My podcast went from number 98 to number 3 in Australia.
Big.
So it's not like...
Is it just like clarity and focus, if anything?
Well, think about it. When you go celibate, what do you get rid of? You get rid of the WhatsApp chats. You get rid of the dates. You get rid of the people owning any part of your energy and mental space. You get rid of you don't have to follow any birds on Instagram then, do you? Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. You don't have to follow anyone. You don't have to do this. There's lots of things you don't have to do.
It's time.
And because you don't have to, you're like, right, well, if you just remove all that part of your life, now you got all that time. You can put it into building cash flow streams. You can put it into elevating your mindset. You can put it into how you want to move. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying this now to you guys on this podcast because there's certain parts of my life that I'm not happy with, and the only way that I know to straighten those things out and to move myself to the level that I want to move to is, one, I'm radically honest, which is what I've told people to be in this podcast. So I'm being radically honest. Okay, how do I move through this? How do I cut out a lot of fucking effort? And what gives me the biggest, excuse the pun, bang for my buck in terms of like moving forward in my life? Well, celibacy.
Mate, I have a like similar coping mechanism, which isn't celibacy, but mate, I fast.
Yeah.
So like, mate, I get it when I get like in a position where I'm like, I need to focus. I need like an extra kick from the ketosis, and I want to like get rid of this rut. And mate, I'll fast, and I usually do 7 days.
Yeah.
And then I can feel like the momentum coming back, and it's like the focus, the time that you waste on eating and thinking about food just goes into whatever you're working on. And I found like through doing that, I've been able to plow through work and get better results like within a week.
But you can be kind to be celibate and still have a girlfriend as long as you make her come and you don't come. It's all good.
Nah,
do you know what I'm saying? Like
that's not for me. What about you?
That's some serious human retention.
But bro, like it's not about you. It's about her.
No, I fully appreciate that.
It's not about you, boys.
I hear you.
Stop being selfish.
But bro, obviously, let's pull this back because maybe it comes to like a really pinnacle part in your life where like you've dedicated your whole life to boxing, right? I'm a huge boxing fan, by the way, as well. And obviously, you've reached the pinnacle of success in that industry for what you were aiming for, right? You get that iconic moment like where you get the call from your mum. Where does that lead to you like going next? Because obviously, it's a big transition, right?
So I realised at that point in my life that obviously the boxing gym and trying to be the trainer and trying to be Frankie Lee, the boxing and attaching my things like that it was attached to ego and it was attached to certain things that we've discussed previously. So
an ego in the boxing gym is fucking insane.
It's like it doesn't matter. Like I've trained with and trained some top pros, and I've been in the corners of some top pros and all that stuff. And it's like, great, you've done that, but that doesn't define who I am as a man. I have a voice. There's lots of things that I know that I can help people with and move people through, and that's why I eventually found podcasting. But in essence, what happened after that moment was, I go back. I shut down the boxing gym, and I went back to carpentry for a bit.
So, bro, let's just dive into that. So, like, you just quit after that event. You just say, I've had enough. I'm closing down the gym.
Yeah.
Just it like, is that like a
because and I'm gonna, and this has happened a few times. So I sold everything and quit England and went to Australia, restarted
to be a carpenter.
As a carpenter abroad, went to Australia. That was the first reinvention. The second reinvention was the boxing gym. I just got rid of that and inside 24, 48 hours and restarted. That was the second reinvention. And then a third reinvention was being sat on the beach about 100 days ago. You know, imagine the pictures of scene like beautiful Gold Coast. I was living the lifestyle, beautiful apartment, podcasting all over Australia, and then realizing that I had to leave there as well. So there's actually three pinnacle events I can guide you through. But if we just go back to that initial one I walked in the gym and I'm like, look, I've just realized my ladder's leaning against the wrong wall. This isn't for me. So what would most people do? Well, most people then, and I've been one of these most people. So I'm not talking about other people like they're different to me. I've been one of these people. Most people would try and make it work or keep trying to kick the can down the road and not quitting. But I knew that boxing training was I was always gonna be a boxing trainer. Like I can still train fighters now. I went down the boxing gym yesterday. I'm finding love with it again.
You've got any pads here?
Yeah, I've got some pads.
Yeah,
don't worry.
some pads.
But I didn't want it to be defined as that. So I had to burn my ships. You have to burn your ships and let go of all your identities to things, all your identities to the way you act and everything like that to reinvent yourself. So I let go of it all. I went back to carpentry for a bit and I was like, do you know what? I'm not the carpenter either. Like I've done that. I've earned my money. So I went into sales.
That's a U-turn, mate. I wasn't expecting that.
And I went into sales, and sales taught me a lot because now I had to start using my voice. And if you think about where I am now and how I use my voice now with the podcast and the platform that I've built for myself, it's all about using your voice. Because the most important skill that any man can learn in life, any woman can learn in life, is how to sell themselves, how to sell what they do, how to sell their services, because every conversation you have throughout your day, you are trying to sell your point of view or your vision to someone else, right? Yeah. Every time you speak to your girlfriend in the morning, you're trying to resell her into why she should date you, why she should love you, why she should fuck you tonight. Everything. You're reselling her on that fact every day, whether you realize it or not. Everything's a sales process. Every conversation, even this, is a sales process that is being followed. Like, I'm selling you my vision, you're selling me yours. Simple as that. As long as you understand that, or when you start to understand that, your whole life can change, because everything is, you never leave a person the same in a conversation. So every time I speak to you or you speak to me, you either leave the conversation feeling more empowered or less empowered from our conversation. So that's the first thing I want people to identify. So when I discovered sales, I was like, oh, this is mad. And I was, first sales job I had was shit.
What were you selling?
I was selling marketing to start with, right? Weak as fuck. I didn't like the offer and I couldn't stick to a script. So I got fucked off from that job inside a week. Then I went into reputation management.
Where's your head at that point? Because you've literally hit like the heights of the heights in the boxing world. You've then tried something,
Mate,
hasn't worked out.
My head's all over the gaff because I've got an identity crisis because I don't know who Frankie Lee is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you
must but in order to discover who you are, you have to first lose who you thought you were. So you have to sit through that moment. You have to be willing to let go of everything.
Did you think about like maybe going back to the boxing at that point?
Mate, I thought about going back to England, thought about going back to boxing. I thought about getting on fucking Tinder and going on a rampage because you use sex to forget as a man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Same with women. Women use sex as a get out. You use all these different. You use drugs. You use alcohol. I don't use drugs. I've never had alcohol. I've never had drugs other than mushrooms and microdosing. But and I've never done smoking either. So my only get out clause from the four things would be to go and, you know, have lots of sex and go and do that to get away from myself. But I didn't want to do that. So I've got into the sales and I realized after the first week, right, I got another job selling reputation management.
And at this point, have you flown over to Australia on your own?
Yeah. So I've been out in Australia now at this point since I went out to Australia in 2014. I've been out there years at this point. This is like 2017, so I've been out there a few years. But never felt like I'd never got off my feet. You know what I mean? Never really made it. Like in terms of like felt like I'd never really comfortable financially. It was always a struggle. Like I was always bobbing and weaving. I've been broke a couple of times and had a few things fly by the night. But I got this second job in reputation management, and it was a real pinnacle event to me because it's like I walk in there and there's these lads and they're selling like $30,000 worth of this stuff a month, which means their comms would be about, you know, 10-15%. So like you're talking about $4,500 on top of the base, $700. It's all right. It's all right. Like you can have an all right life on that. So I was thinking, all right, cool. But after I started to sell a few deals and started to get momentum, I was like, fuck, these deals aren't big enough. I need to go bigger deals. Need bigger deals, right? So bearing in mind, because I'm so green as a sales guy and because I don't know anything, it's the most beautiful place to be because I'm in no man's land, right? So I start to creatively think because I've lost all my identity to who I was, right? And I don't know who the fuck I am. I'm in discovery mode. Well, when you're in discovery mode, you don't know what you don't know. So you've got no limiting beliefs into this new environment because you're naive, right? So I'm like, well, if these guys are selling deals for 10K and getting one, why can't I sell deals for 50, 60, 100K? Okay, if I was going to sell these deals, who would I sell them to? Because I can't sell them to these leads because the leads that they're giving me are shit compared. I can only sell $1,000, $3,000 deals to these leads, but I can. So I thought to myself, well, I'll sell celebrities and brands and I'll sell them reputation management instead of selling to what they want me to sell to, which is like remove Google reviews, all this, that, and the other. So I started to, so all of a sudden, inside 3 months, I've done 150 grand in sales. I've become top sales guy. I've never, but before this, I was never a fucking salesman. I just failed a week in sales and marketing, but I just got into this self-belief talk. I'd used what boxing had taught me, that inner self-belief, to now go to do this sales role and stuff.
Get momentum as well.
Got momentum, right? And then I was like, I've earned them 150 grand and I've earned myself 15 grand.
What did I say to you in the car?
And I'm like, that's great, but I've got to get taxed on that. And then you add the base in. I'm like,
I'm earning peanuts, mate.
But so I went to the guy who owned the business and I said, look, I'm your best sales guy by an absolute. I outsell absolutely everyone in this office. I said you could literally fuck them off, and I could be the sales team. Like this is because I'm now. Because now
you're feeling yourself.
Because now I'm feeling myself, right? Because now the
deals are coming in.
Now the ego's starting to come in, right?
Deals will do all sorts to your ego, mate.
So I've gone in there and I've gone to him, right? Give me 10% of the company.
It's bold, isn't it?
No, literally. I've bowled in there, right? And
10%
of the
today
of the company, yeah, of the company. It was a startup company, so
was it?
So I've gone in there and I even when I walked out of that, I thought I've overshot the market. I've overshot the market. Do you know what I mean? I could have been on the lucky streak there.
Could have got
but I've proper rode it. Even went to a meeting about it. Anyway, they offered me.
You can't.
They offered.
You've got in with it. You can't turn back.
Yeah. So they presented me with a deal, and I'd never signed an employment contract, so I had to sign this. So in the employment contract was a non-compete, right? So they knew I was fucking good at selling this.
Yeah, they're nervous.
So they're nervous because so in this, I had to sign this contract to get the non-compete. So they said, we'll give you 1%. And I didn't think 1% was a fair reflection on what it didn't get me interested enough to go and sell more. So I was like, I'm not signing this. So I left that. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Did you have a bit of cash stored at this point?
I had a little bit of cash on the side, right? But I didn't know what I was going to do. But throughout when I was working for this company, I thought to myself, we're selling reputation management, which is pushing content down. I thought to myself, it'd be great if we could remove it. Because like a lot of these brands just want to remove it. They'll pay more for that. So I went on GoDaddy and I bought contentremoval.com, paid $650 for it.
Still.
Right? Absolute steal, right? Worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, that domain name. So I buy contentremoval.com and I shelve it. And I get a call from one of my girlmates. She's like, Frankie, I've got a lot going on in my life right now. I'm like, no shit. I've got a lot of shit going on right now, darling. Like, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to. No, she's like, Frankie, you don't understand. Like, I know you're a guy. I know you're a guy that can sort things out. And I'm going through a lot in my life. I'm like, she's giving me all that. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you understand. I'm going through this. And she's like, no. My nudes are online, and my sex tapes are online with this guy, and he shared them in revenge porn attack. And I need to get them down. And not only that, she's got two other friends that have also been attacked on this thing.
And she knows you're in the industry, so that's why she's calling you.
Yeah, so she knows I'm in the industry, right? So she's gone, can you sort this? I'm like, well, I don't know how to remove content, but one, I help these girls out. So I help these girls out. I remove all these images, all these videos. And then I thought, fuck, I've just proved the concept for contentremoval.com. I haven't signed this contract, so now I'm on like this gardening leave period. So I thought, well, fuck this job off. I'll start contentremoval.com. So I registered a company, started contentremoval.com, and then I thought to myself, I'm sat there and I'm living on my mates. I've not got an apartment at the time because when I went on this gardening leave, I thought, fuck it, I'll go back to England for a bit. So now I've come back from England, I've not got a place. So my mate, he's a very wealthy man. I met him when I sold a car to him. He said to me, why don't you, I put on Facebook that I was coming back to Australia. He goes, why don't you stay around my house? Nice. You can stay in my $600,000 yacht at the back of my house. So I started contentremoval.com in a $600,000 yacht floating at the back in the canal, the Gold Coast, behind someone else's things, right? And I had a little bit of money in the bank, but like maybe 10, 15 grand, nothing. So I'm sat there. I've been out in Australia now for like 3 or 4 years.
On this yacht.
I'm floating on 600k yacht, right? Everyone thinks I'm fucking absolutely fucking sending it. I'm like practically fucking broke as fuck.
Are you telling them it's your yacht as well?
Huh?
No.
You get any birds over?
No.
Oh, that would be unreal.
Well, let's not go into I do all right, but like it wasn't about the story's not about women. Right? We're not going to go into women, but like you know what I'm saying. No, I'm not telling everyone it's my yacht, but I'm saying everyone's seeing like this, and I'm sat there floating in this yacht, thinking starting contentremoval.com. Anyway. So I sit there and I remove all these girls' photos and I sort out these girls. So they gave me a review. And then I thought to myself, how can I make money out of removing content? Because I can't remove revenge porn and stuff like that at that level. Because one, those girls haven't got the kind of cash that I want to earn, and it's hard to charge them and this, that, and the other. And it's just a nightmare. So I thought to myself, what industry do I like? I love fitness. I like the fashion industry. I like all these different industries. They got high ticket items. They sell a lot of stuff, and they need protection online. So I found out some influencers at the top of the game in Australia that were all facing like things being written about them, on all girls being attacked online. And inside, probably, well, the first girl I signed was like one of the biggest fitness influencers in the world, bar none, right? And I signed her on a contract for about $132,000 a year, right? So in one deal, I'd literally done all my sales target for the last 3 months, and it was like 100% profitable. And when I did it, the deal, I didn't know how to remove content, lads. You got to understand. I had only removed a little bit of revenge porn. I'd been selling it, but I'd never removed it.
How did you even get that deal in the first place?
So I reached out to them, to her management, and I said, look, it can't be nice for you to see her get targeted like that online, and I can solve this problem for you. I can remove this. I can protect her. You know what I mean? She needs protecting because
she's cold email or cold DM.
It was. I finally got through on LinkedIn. It was actually
nice.
that time. So I got and then I flew down there, and I basically said to him, what closed the deal was, they said they agreed to give me the deal, but they said you got to remove 12 pieces of content. So I'm sat there with a contract for 132 grand a year, right? Which is more money than I've seen in a lump at my time of life then. I'm sat there with this deal for 132 grand. I'm like, fuck me. I've got to remove these 12 pieces of content to access this deal. So I'm there in this $600,000 yacht, and I'm working away like a fucking beaver.
What a mad place to be doing it.
So I was like, fucking boom, boom, boom. So I've removed 6. I got them all done, and I won the contract, and it changed my fucking life. So, and then I thought, fuck this, I need to sign 2 more. So I signed 2 more. So inside what was fucking, must have been like 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe 2 months. I was doing like 300-400 grand a year from 2 or 3 clients, and I was like,
it's healthy.
This is decent now.
How did you come to the contract value of 132? So
I added. So this is the thing, right? So at the time, I didn't know how to price because I'd never priced. I just sold other people's shit. So I added what I had left on my mortgage in the UK to what I wanted to earn per year. So I just thought I need $1,000 per week. So that's $52,000 in Australia, right? That I needed. And then then the rest was to clear my mortgage payment. so I put them two together, and that's it. Because my goal was to pay my mortgage off by the time I was 30. And at this point, when I sat there, I was like, what, 29?
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, I need to get a shift on. So I sold this deal, paid the mortgage off, put them on retainer, boom, 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 did that. That's what I did. That's how I started, and then started to sign other clients. So this got me the cash flow. And then I'm like,
isn't it crazy how fast it can turn? Like, you've built all those skills up in the past, and like you've been working on yourself to be able to actually produce that. But like 3 to 4 weeks, 500 G's or 400 grand or whatever it is, like from having nothing or 10, 15K in the bank, like.
But the thing is, I'm a ball guy, right? So you have to know how to chat when you're a ball guy. Because I've not got a fucking hairline. So I can't.
It's actually fair. I didn't even think about that.
So it's like, you know what? When you have to have an innate self-belief. So I just try and create things out of nothing, because all the best things are created out of nothing.
Yeah,
they all come from nothing. So essentially, what I'm trying to showcase to all of you that are listening to this and are still listening to this, thinking, why am I listening to this prick? But it's simply this. I don't care what situation you're in life right now. If you take a moment to just sit there and just kind of be, and just kind of start to throw some creative ideas around your head and start to look at things that are, I found the problem by going into a sales job, and I found the problem in the marketplace that someone would pay a lot of money to solve, and then I figured it out after I'd fucking sold it. I didn't figure out how to do it and then sell it.
MVP style, minimum viable product.
It's a minimum viable product. By starting with services, what it allows you to do is, it allows you to be like one guy on a laptop sat fucking in your pants on a fucking $600,000 yacht whilst making cash.
Yeah.
That's what that allows. That allows you to move a little bit different. You can just stack it, move it. And that's what I did. And that's that. And then I built up a few high-end clients, and over the last X amount of years, I've looked after a lot of names that you would know, many some of the top female artists in the world.
Give us
in,
one.
in film. No, I can't name names because the NDAs. I'd say out of the top 10 females in the world right now at this moment, I'd say I've probably removed content for 4 of them.
So how does the business roll out? Because like that is like top tier, right? But you didn't start like that. You started with 3 deals.
No. I did start. That's the whole point. I did.
Oh, you went
I started at the top. I didn't start at the bottom. That's the whole point I'm trying to make to people. Why the fuck would you start at the bottom? I do not start at the bottom, because that's the whole point. That's what I want you to get, is fuck the narrative of you saying, oh, I'll build up to this, I'll build up to this. Fuck that. How can you go to the top and sign the best deals at the start and work your way back from that? And you don't even have to work very far back. When you're going from job or sales job to business, you want to start a service-based business, and you want to pick a niche that you can perform in, or not perform in, but know someone that can perform in, and you want to sell high ticket to the top from the start, not low ticket, not low ball. They're not your market. You want to go to people with cash, people with money, people you can solve fucking problems for. And I sold the deal, and then as long as you can back it up. And I didn't know how I was going to back it up, but I was determined to back it up, and I taught myself. And over the last X amount of years, I've become one of the best in the world at removing content. There's no doubt about it, because of how many hours and the kind of content I've had to deal with. And from I've had servers in Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan I've had to take out, and I've had to take out Facebook posts, and I've had to take out all these different areas of content. And you learn the game in the trenches, and you can't, there's no byproduct for experience. But I would encourage every one of you that's listening to this, if you're in a job, you fucking hate it, have a think about things that you can sell as a service to the marketplace, because it's high profit margin. It requires a little bit of nous from you, and make sure that you can do it from a laptop from anywhere in the world. It change your life.
Why do you think just the general world has the preconception of you have to start from the bottom? Because everyone does. Everyone actually thinks that, like, you have to start from the bottom, work your way up. Like, do you think that's just preconceived from parents, from society? Is it
It's just because most people in England are taught lack from an early age, right? They're around lack. England, unless you're in certain environments in England, you're brought up around lack your whole life.
When you
What
say
is
lack?
Yeah.
Lack comes from the middle class. So the middle class is the worst place to be. Everyone thinks that being born in poverty is the worst place to be. It's fucking not. Being born middle class is the worst place to be, or being in the middle class. Because in the middle class, what you have in England is this. You have 3-bedroom house in Southampton, for argument's sake. You have a beautiful missus. You have, or maybe not so beautiful.
A3 finance whip.
You need the A3 or the Merc C class on finance.
The Merc C class.
C class
in
on
white.
finance. Right. And you work for 40 grand a year. That is the middle class. Now that is so fucking comfortable in this country and so survivable on that you have no more aspiration beyond that, because you just want to get 3 bags of white powder in at the weekend, and you want to get through the weekend, not have an argument with your missus, and hopefully end up all right.
Maybe get a few tats.
But that's the life that people are living in this country. And I'd say, no offense, but it's very low vibrational, and it's probably what 70% of this country lives every day.
It's cyclical,
right?
as well.
It's cyclical. It's as soon. Let me tell you something, right? As soon as you take a fucking wage, right, you've just disempowered yourself, because you're now saying that your time is worth that much. That is the most disempowering thing you could ever say to yourself, because every piece of money, every piece of things that I've created in my life, everything that I'm creating now, yeah, it's all created off this. How big can I think with my mind? Because it's unlimited. I work on unlimited. I want to know. People say that can't be done. Fuck off. Of course, someone's already fucking probably done bigger things than that. You know, I'm still trying to think, how can I think bigger? Yeah. So just by, if you're in what I've just described, and you're now sitting there triggered in your car on your way to work, and you're like, fuck it, I want to fucking just, if you're triggered, that's beautiful, because now you know you're in that system. Now you can break it, can't you? Because you know you're in it. So you've just helped identify it. It's a great thing. You can think creatively. I would encourage, like, the fastest thing for in my opinion, for people to get out of the 9 to 5 and get into making money and allowing themselves thought time, is to sell a service online, right? Or so you could sell marketing, you can sell, at the moment, short video editing for shorts, for TikToks, for reels, all that kind of stuff. You can sell all that kind of stuff. You want to sell things that are on repeat. Content removal was only a good business when it had retained clients. Yeah. Mm-hmm. At the moment, we're building back on retained clients again, but I went on taking large clips. Well, taking lumpy cash isn't the way forward. But for everyone listening that wants to start a business online, I would sell something. I'd say $2,500 or pounds a month is what you want to sell. That's your minimum. That's the minimum you want to do. And you want to sell something. So you want to create a package for that. So let's just say you create, I don't know, 40, 50 shorts per month, $2,500 per month, retained basis, minimum 3 months commitment from your clients. Okay. Now you sell one client that through Instagram DMs, through your network, this, that, and the other. Now you've just got yourself out of your job. You sell 2 clients, you now just doubled your wages, right? You sell 3, don't forget, the first month, you sell nothing. Then you get one deal, now you've quit your job. You get another deal, now you've got $5,000. But every month you start with $5,000 because you've kept the 2 clients.
It's a retainer.
And, yeah, but I'm not telling you to do the work either. I'm telling you can outsource that on Upwork, you can get a video, you can find video guys. You don't have to know how to fucking edit videos. This is how I want you thinking. I want you thinking about, you don't need to know any of this stuff. You just need to know that you don't want to go to that 40-hour work week job anymore. You need to know that you want more for yourself. That's what you need to know. There's a methodology. Sell services online to businesses that can pay you. Even though we're going into what will be the biggest recessions of our life in this moment, 2023, it'll be a fucking car crash. It doesn't mean that there's not businesses out there with loads of cash that can throw you $2,500 a month. There's loads of people out there. There's loads of people like me that need to create content and put it online. Now, look, I've got my own video team and I create videos for myself and do all that stuff myself. But there's many podcasts out there that need content. There's many doctors out there that need content for online. So like the fastest way for anyone listening to this to take themselves from a job to no job to having an agency is just start a shorts video agency, shorts, reels, TikToks, boom, boom, boom. Go and make them for people and go and make cash. $2,500 a month per client. Bosh. You got 3 or 4 clients. You're out. You earn $10,000 a month. It's just the easiest way for you to move forward. Then once you got that done, and once you got a little bit of thinking time, now you can figure out what you want to do, your passion, your purpose, and all that bollocks. But you need cash first.
You're bang on, mate. Like, I couldn't agree with what you've said anymore. Everything you said there is bang on. Service-based businesses, B2B primarily, just because of cash flow, and then learn sales, and then just ultimately outsource the work and eat in the middle. It just is. It's standard, mate.
It's the way you get yourself out the slave.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. You're a wagey. Standard.
You don't want to. You don't. As soon as you take a wage, you disempower yourself. You don't want to take a wage. I don't even take a wage from. I don't even pay myself a wage because I don't. Do you know what I mean? I'll just do shareholder drawings and all that stuff. I don't pay myself a wage.
Yeah,
I'll do that at the start of the year with a drawing, but I don't pay myself a wage because if you get, it's like a drip. Yeah. Once you get on a drip and you get accustomed to a certain amount of money to pay. Do you know what I'm saying,
mate? I actually, so over the past year, I had to had to be a wagey, mate, just because businesses didn't work out like I wanted them to. And
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, mate, it happens, right? And it doesn't mean I'm going to stop. It just means I needed to get some things in order before I move forward. So obviously with that, I have experienced the comfort element, like what you're actually describing there. And like, you know, my job now, get an all right package, get a property that they pay a subsidy to as well, and like access to cars, etc. But like that makes you so comfortable that it makes you not want more.
Yeah.
And I said to you, didn't I? I said, I'm getting comfortable. I was like, I feel like being comfortable is the worst thing for me right now.
I'm living it as well.
Yeah.
We're like both living vicariously as well.
Yeah,
the same experience.
We're so, mate, it's so weird because I feel like we go through the same stages at the same time with different circumstances.
Yes. But you two should back yourselves. Fuck these jobs off. Stack a little bit of cash. Fuck the jobs off. Start an agency of some kind, and then move into it and go through that together as well.
Yeah.
Because why? As soon as you attach yourself to any form of job, now don't get me wrong. Look, jobs are fine for people that want security, that don't aspire to do things like me, right? Or you or anyone else. Like if you love your job, then stick to your job, because if you really love it and it's really what you want to do. Even if you're a girl and you're going into a nail bar and you love working there, you love the girls, you love that, and you're happy. If you're happy, stick with it. I'm not saying it. I'm just telling you from a financial point of view and from a point of view of freedom in the future and doing what the fuck you want and having the freedom to do that. It's not the best idea to do that long term. But if that suits you and that's you, I'm not judging you for that. You do that. That's cool. That's calm. But if you want more for yourself, sell services online to start with, because you can sell anything. Like you can drop service, so you can go, I will buy service for $500 and sell service for $2,500.
Yeah.
Take the $2,000 in the middle clip, deliver the service. You got Fiverr, you got Upwork, you got this, there's so many ways you can do it. So many services, SEO, shorts design.
Use a global network as well, so you can get a better price point on the freelancer you use.
Global network. You got contractor arbitrage, where the contractor agrees to do it for X price per month. You bill the client at the start of the month. You pay the contractor at the end of the month. You've got all the cash in between.
Yeah.
Like there's so many ways that you can do it and ways you can structure it. But like you need to get out of this. Stop thinking about hourly wages. Stop that right now, because the hourly wages are never going to empower you. Right, get out of that English mentality that you've got, where you think that, if only I could earn £18 an hour or £30. No, it's not about that. It's about where can you get your time freedom so you can spend time with your son George whenever you want to spend time with him. You know what I mean? Where can you get location freedom? Even if you don't want location freedom, you want the ability. Even if you don't want the freedom from the terms of you like living in Luton, or you like living in Cheshire in the 4-bed house with a C-class on the driveway. Yeah, cool, that's fine. I'm not fucking moaning at you. I'm just saying to you, have the ability to be in fucking Thailand for 10 days whenever you want. Have the ability to move over here. Have the ability to not have to just think about filling your ISA up with 16 grand a year. Have the ability to move freely. Freedom is what you want.
Time, buying back the time, you said it a minute ago, that is everything. Having time is literally everything, because then you can utilize that time to do things you want to do. But I do feel like for me anyway, you almost have to go through you call it the brokey or the wagey mentality to realize that you don't want that, and you have to get your time back.
We all start, because unless you're born into like generational wealth or a wealthy family that doesn't teach you. Look, wealthy families do not send their children to school to be taught to have a job. Whereas the middle class and the lower classes in this country send their kids to schools which teaches the children on how to have jobs. Rich families don't send them to schools like that. Have you noticed? The schools teach them to operate from a separate system. Right, the systems of the wealthiest families,
or like networking and stuff like that. Or
so the only reason wealthy families send their children to school at all, and they send them to an Eton or a Cambridge, is to get connected to other wealthy families so they can do business down the track. That is it. Yeah, middle class and lower class families in England send their kids to school and they get indoctrinated into the work system, so they go and become a carpenter, so they go and become a plumber, so they go and become a fucking
banker,
an accountant,
Yeah.
a lawyer, a doctor. You've just fucked yourself. Now, that's literally what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's a cultural thing. You got to understand. The only reason to go to school is past primary school, where you've learned the basics of everything, like in terms of like maths, English, how to interact with people. You're going there for the connections, not for the fucking education on how to get a job and how to work in the system. You're only there to get the connections that you can. Well, you want to go to the fucking best school possible, the richest school possible. That's why all the rich people send their kids to private school with other rich families, because they don't want their kids around fucking broke mentality.
Yeah.
They don't want their kids around that.
They want to keep them in that consistent network of, I call it rich mentality, but it's not necessarily monetarily rich. It's the mindset of being rich.
Yeah, because rich is a mindset.
Yeah, it is.
Because we're all rich. Even if you're living the lifestyle that I say is not ideal, you're still rich. Because if you fucked off all your liabilities and all the things you didn't need, and you actually stacked and moved in an efficient manner, you're still one of the wealthiest 1% in the world living in this country. It's abundant. Yeah. But it's just how you see it. It's how you vision it. I'm just saying that I want it to be even more abundant for you. Well, the only way it's going to be more abundant for you is when you take back control. No one should have control on any one element of your life, right? That's why I've got residencies and passports in different countries, because I don't want to be fucking controlled by one country. So I've got residencies in other countries and I've got passports in other countries for that simple reason. I need to be able to move. I'm not going to be stuck here. If England locks down tomorrow, I'm going to fuck off somewhere else. If Dubai locks down, I'll fuck off somewhere else. If Australia locks down, I'll fuck off somewhere else. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I got the authority to be in any place that I want at any one time. I'm on multiple grids. I'm not on one. Do you understand this? You understand the concept?
Of course, mate. It's the leverage, isn't it?
It's everything's about leverage. I want leverage of time. I want leverage of the freedom of time, the freedom of money, the freedom of everything. And I'm not to have freedom of money. You don't even need a lot of money.
How much do you reckon it is like to have? Because we were talking about this on the way up here. Because I work for a company at the moment that will more than likely one day go public, or if it doesn't go public, it will be worth £1 billion. And the previous business that I worked in was in the similar industry, similar to that. And I said to Cal, that was the aim that I wanted to achieve for myself at one point. I said, but in reality, that's not actually going to make me any more happy than if I earn £1 million a month eventually. 12 million quid, 10 million quid a year. You can pretty much do anything with that amount of money.
I know a guy that was a software developer for Canva, and they went public and he made a couple of million quid.
Yeah.
Very fucking rare, because he was like employee number 16. Yeah. Very rare that those exits and those payouts happen.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, 100%.
So living your life like you're going to be one of the unicorns that gets the fucking the end, that was working on the desk, that doing the marketing, and you're not employee number 27 and you get paid out 3 million quid for it. I would not live my life like that.
Oh no, I'm not. I mean, when I was saying that was when I wanted my own business in the niche I'm in, and I wanted to take it public one day. That was the idea that I'd had in my head for the past couple of years. But what I'm saying is, now I'm like, I don't even think that would make me happy, and that's what we were talking about a moment earlier.
Yeah,
so,
happiness is the most is the critical part.
So, what figure do you think is enough?
And enough to me for most people would be 10 to 15,000 a month. Would be a figure that would where you're not going to get any happier beyond that. But if you got to like 25 to 30k a month, that is when you've got your ultimate freedom of movement. You can do everything you want to do. You can live, you can invest, you can move, you can do everything you want, but you still have the freedom of not being held down to all these things. Like I've spoken to a lot of people that are wealthier than me, and when you get to certain levels of money, you get targeted and tied to stuff as well. And there's other problems that come with it. I think 25 to if everyone that listens to this podcast can get themselves to 25 to 30,000 a month consistently and live anywhere they want, be remote, be free, and they can do it from a laptop, right? And they can do it selling services. And that's not a big number considering you can have 3 packages, one for 2.5 grand, one for 5 grand, and one for 10 grand. Build them out, read $100 million offers by Alex Hormozy, build out your 3 offers, and then just start pitching people on your offers, your network and stuff like that. And then by the time you sold fucking 1-2 deals, you took yourself out of your day job. Bingo bongo, you're set.
You mentioned earlier that you've spoke to a lot of people. Tell us about your podcast and where did it start?
So the podcast for me started on the back. I realised I tell people to go get money because money is so important that you go and get it as soon as possible and get as much of it as you can and keep getting it. Get the money, but then you'll understand when you get to that 25, 30 grand a month that I'm talking about, you'll understand that it's not all about money anymore. You'll understand that there's more to life than just money, right? But you have to get the money first before you can understand that. Yeah, and I think the 25, 30 grand is a sweet spot. I've been monthly beyond that. I'm just saying, like, that's a sweet spot. Get yourself there, and then you'll understand, right, okay, now I've got a bit of time to think. There's actually more to life than just money. But money offers you a lot of freedom and a lot of time to think about it, right? So get there. And then obviously the podcast, so then I'll get to that 25, 30K and beyond. And I'm like, right, well, I've achieved for this moment, in that moment, I'm like, I've achieved monetarily what I want, but I'm fucking unhappy because it's just about money. And I thought, fuck, I thought I had so much more in me than this. I thought there was more about, I thought I was discovering who Frankie Lee was. I feel like I've discovered him a little bit more, but now I feel like there's something missing again. Like what's gone on here? Like what's more? And it came down to me. I came back to England I was in Australia. I sat there and it was beautiful and all that stuff. It's just, but it was September. I came here for like 2 or 3 months. I think we went into lockdown in 2020.
Yeah.
2020,
yeah,
March
3 years ago.
March 2020, right? We went into lockdown. I came back to England from, say, I think it was like June till September or something. I came back for 3 months. Anyway, I thought, even though it was summer here, I thought to myself, fuck, I'm unhappy. Like, it's just not I thought I'd come back to England I thought it was going to change my happiness, you know what I mean? I was earning money online. I'd had the freedom to do it. I could do the flight. I could sit there. I could do business class, do whatever I wanted. But there's something not right with this.
What is that like? What's that feel like? Is there just like is it like physiology? Do you feel like a bit uneasy or something like that?
You just know in yourself when you're not fully happy, right? So I thought, what is it? So I had an argument with my mum one day, and I went down to the spare room just to sit there, and I thought, why am I so fucking angry? Why am I talking to her like that? Like, I'm not this way. This is not me. Like, you're better than that, mate. You should not talk to any woman like that, let alone your mum. Like, seriously, mate, have a word with yourself. Pull your head in. And I sat there and I was so upset and angry with myself. And I was like, what is it I'm not doing that I should be doing? Well, I want to communicate more. I want to speak more to the world. I want to be heard because I've not been heard. There's this part, you've not heard yourself. You've not been heard in life. And I'm like, right, okay. So this podcast idea that I've had in my mind for years before this, you've never launched it. Why? Because of the fear of imposter syndrome, because of the fear of all these different fears I had. So I just sat there. I downloaded the Anchor app on my phone, and I just recorded my 2020 vision sat there on the floor in a set of headphones, and I recorded my 2020 vision, still on there now, my first episode of my podcast, and I recorded it, and I'm like, fuck, like that's it, and I just left it there, right?
What was on the 2020 vision?
People have to go listen to it, right? They'll have to go listen to it. The Frankie Lee podcast, if you want to listen to it, go listen to it. But I had this 2020 vision of I'll tell you a bit more about it, obviously. But I had this 2020 vision about how I wanted life to look, how I wanted to move, how I wanted to be, all this kind of stuff. Like I just put it down. A 10-minute episode. I can't remember exactly what it said, but I listen to it like once every year. And if you have a little listen to it, you'll understand my headspace and where I was at. But I was just glad to take action and to publish something into the world. I think it's important that if you record something, you publish it. So I did, and I posted, and then I recorded another episode, and I posted that, and then I left it. And I went back to Australia, and that was it. I didn't do anything for 6 months, right?
Why did you leave it?
Because I just didn't feel I'd started it, recorded the episodes, and then I thought I didn't feel called to podcast anymore. I didn't feel called to do it. I felt like I wanted to do it, but I didn't feel like it. There's something about it that wasn't coming from the right place. And I thought, I've got to figure that out before I do anything. So then I went into analysis paralysis, didn't do it. So then fast forward a few months, I've gone back to Australia, and it's February now in 2020. So this is right before the COVID bullshit, right? I'm walking in the gym one day, and my mate's meant to be in America, and I'm meant to be I'm still meant to be in the UK. So we're not meant to be in the same place at the same time, but we just meet outside the gym, and it's weird. This is like a universe thing trying to tell us something. And I couldn't believe he was there, and he couldn't believe I was there. But he was telling me about he'd just been to a clairvoyant, and I'm like, "Fuck! I've always wanted to go to a clairvoyant."
What is that?
Clairvoyant is where they sit down with you and they can tell you things about yourself, because they're connected in, bro. Like it's a thing. I mean, people will say it's woo woo, but trust me, unless you've been to one, a good one, an actual one, and not said anything and had them tell you stuff about your life, then it's just mad. And I got the number of this clairvoyant, so I ring this clairvoyant, and she said to me on the phone, she literally, and I thought this was bullshit at the time. She said, I've been expecting a call from you, Frankie, but I've not told her my name.
Mad.
Right? I've not told her my name. I've not told her my name, and I'm not. He's just gone into the gym, so he couldn't have told her that I was going to call, because he's gone into the gym. He can't text her. She's an old woman, like. So I go around the house, and so I've arranged this clairvoyancy thing, right? And I go around there, and bro, I didn't say a word. I'm scared. It's like I go around this house. I'm sat there with this clairvoyant.
Why do you think you were scared? Were you scared about what was going to be revealed?
I just was apprehensive. I was like, I'm not used to one, I'm not used to being this spiritual and woo woo, and two, I'm not like there's a mean. I felt called. I felt meaning. So just let me tell you, right? I walk in the door. She opens the door to me, and I knew in that moment I was meant to be there. I just felt it. I sat down in the chair. I didn't say it. She said, "Hey, Frankie, how are you?" I didn't, but I did. But I didn't tell her nothing about me. And then she started to tell me things, and tell me about how my childhood was, and tell me about all my traumas that were going in. She's telling me stuff about how I felt about my mum and this. She made me cry in certain places, because she was telling me things that were coming through from spirit, or however you want to say, in her mind. And she just knew me. She knew things about me that people couldn't know, right? She knew shadows that other people wouldn't know for looking, yeah, from childhood. So she started to tell me all this stuff. There's a few key things she said to me throughout this thing. She said to me, the one key statement she said to me was about halfway through this. She says, Frankie, you're born to be on stage, and you're born to speak to a lot of people and to communicate with a lot of people, and that's gonna happen. But you need to find your voice. She said, I can see LA, and I can see you finding your voice, and there's a guide or someone that's come in to help you find your voice. And when you meet this person, they'll put it into clarity for you. And then when they put it into clarity for you, that'll free you, and you'll find your voice, and you'll move forward. I said, well, when's that going to happen? She said, I don't know when, but it's in the vicinity. It's happening. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's going to happen. She says, well, you've got free will. Whether you take it or not is another thing, but you've got free will. Like, it's going to happen. I can see LA. I can see you finding your voice, right? She told me a lot more than that throughout this thing. She told me about my relationships with women. She told me about a relationship with my mum. She told me about all the generational trauma that my mum had gone through, with everything that I told you about earlier on in this podcast, all this stuff, right? And she told me this without me giving her any information other than, my name and my birth date, and obviously doing it. So it just is what it is, right? A few days later, about a week later, no word of a lie, I've gone round my mate Aaron's house. And I just said, I'll meet you for a walk. So we go out, we go to Mermaid Beach. We get to the beach, beautiful day. Pictures of fucking scene. It's beautiful. Like there's a surf comp over here. There's this and that and the other. We just walk out. We walk out to the shoreline and we turn around, and there's a guy walking towards us, and you could just feel his presence. You could just feel like an aura. People who move different, who have a different energy, have a different aura. You feel them before you feel their presence before you see their presence, if you know what I'm saying. And I just felt this guy's presence. And my mate turned to me as calm as you like, and he said to me, "Bro, that's Tom Hanks." And I'm like,
what?
I'm like, is it fuck? And we turn around, we walk the other way. We're walking. And my mate goes to me, "Frankie, I'm telling you, that is Tom Hanks." And I went, "No way, bro." And he goes, "You do realise this is the first and only time that me and you are going to have the opportunity to, and I'm telling you that was Tom Hanks, and I'm telling you there's a reason he's here, and I'm telling you that we should speak to him."
Shout out to your boy.
And I'm like, "I don't believe you. I don't believe it's Tom Hanks." He said, "Bro, we'll double back. If it's we'll get within 50 meters of him. We'll fucking know if it's Tom Hanks or not. But I'm telling you that is Tom Hanks. I'm telling you." So we double back. Now, when you think someone's going to be, when you think someone is that A-list person, you don't want to just fucking go up to them like a fanboy or startle them or create a commotion so that loads of other people start causing them a problem on a busy beach, do you? So we skirted around this surf competition, and we go up to this guy that he says is Tom Hanks, and I'm like, he's wearing a hat, you could hardly fucking tell. And he's like, "Bro, I'm telling you, that's Tom Hanks." We get within. He's walking with this other dude, and when we got within 50 meters, I could tell from boxing that just by looking at this dude could handle himself like he was a martial artist. Like you could just tell by the way he moved, his aura, the way he operated. I could just tell this geezer's got martial arts written all over him, 100%. So as we start to get close to him, I've looked at this martial arts geezer, he's looked at me, but I can't explain this, but there was like a mutual respect, like of me saying with my eyes, "I know who that guy is, but I'm not here to cause you any harm." And he's like, he's sent me the same respect back in eyesight. And it's hard to explain that, but you have to kind of be there to know it, right? We get close, and he starts closing the gap, this martial arts guy. And I'm like, "Look, mate, I know that's Tom Hanks, like, and I just want to say a few words to him." And he's like, "Look, cool, yeah, but just no commotion, like this and the other." And it was Tom Hanks, right? So me and my mate are walking down the beach with Tom Hanks and his bodyguard, right? And we go on this walk for 20 fucking minutes, right? Down this fucking beach, we go walking with him, and he's just like asking us about, we're asking him about his life, and he's asking us about ours, and it's just like this and the other, and he's asking me about what I do, and I'm like, I've always wanted to start this podcast and do this thing. He goes, "Well, you ask a lot of questions." He said, like, why are you not doing that more? And I'm like, "Well, I don't." "You don't what?" "Well, I don't." "You don't what?" like I'm being called out by Tom Hanks. He's like, and he's like, everything's coming to an end one day. Just go and do what you actually want to do. Go and become who you want to be. Like you're obviously. This whole thing was obviously for a reason, kind of thing, is what you're saying to me. And I left that. He goes, "Give me your phone." So I give him my phone. He goes, "Open the camera." So I open the camera up. He puts his arm out. He takes a picture of us. I'll show you the picture after the podcast. He took a picture of me, him, and Aaron. He took the picture. We didn't ask him for a picture. He took the picture. He goes, do you know what to do?" And then he just we went off into the distance with his man, right? I went back. A week later, I booked my mate George, who's a bodybuilder, on the podcast, and I started then, and I've never stopped since. Every week since then, I've released a fucking episode of the podcast every week since. And that's what I feel she meant by, you'll meet someone from LA. Obviously, he was from Hollywood. He'll help you find your voice. That's what I think she meant. And everything else she said to me in those conversations has come true too. And I've since been back to see her multiple times, and she's told me what's coming for me in my life and this and the other, and there's no way of stopping it. And to be honest, she's been pretty on par with all of it.
What a fucking unbelievable story on how to get the podcast live.
I know, it's incredible. Like
it's almost like it was meant to be.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Also, how can you not believe in destiny when something like that happens?
Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm trying to say to you. Like, you know, your destiny, your energetic path is already preordained. The one thing that you have, though, is you have a conscious choice. So she was explaining to me there's 3 paths. She explained. She said there's the lesser path that you can go on. There's a straight path, or there's the abundant path, and people consciously pick one of the 3. And a lot of people in life just pick the minimal path and just get limit and just consciously go, because it's actually when you go beyond the consciousness and go, well, what, and start to think, but what if I could, and what would that look like, and how would that be, and start to dream and get amongst it and start to feel it. Yeah, I've been saying to you boys at the start of this podcast, when I put out a podcast, I don't want people to listen to them, I want people to feel them. Yeah, because if you can create feeling in people's lives, you can create movement. And all I want for everyone that listens to this throughout this podcast, all I want you to fucking do, whether you get out of the car, wherever you are, whether you're in the office, whether this, that, the other, everything that I'm saying to you is designed to create a movement in your life for your betterment. I want you, because I want you to move into what's better for you. I don't know what that fucking is. I'm a stranger to you, but I just want you to move to what's better for you. Everybody who's listening to this has something better that they could be doing, has something they can improve on, has something they can move. Just move towards that 1% a day. That's all I want for anyone that listens to this. It's very important that you get that.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. What does free choice mean if there's already paths written out for you?
So, because a human being has freedom of choice to do whatever they want, right? But a lot of human beings will choose a mediocre path, and you don't have to. You can literally, I don't want to say you can be whatever you want to be, because obviously if you're 4'11", you can't be Kobe Bryant, right? There's limits to that. But the only real limit in your life is your mind, right? And what you can conceive, because if you can conceive it, you can reveal it in your life. I've proved it on multiple levels with everything I've done, right? I've kind of manifested many opportunities in my life, working with celebrities, meeting celebrities, having podcast guests, having the podcast that I have. Everything's just, it just manifests that way because I see it before it happens. But you can all do that. You all have the opportunity to dream bigger than you're dreaming, to think that, why would you choose not to? Your mind is your biggest asset. It's the only thing you should work on, because it controls everything in your life. It controls how your body looks. Like, before a dream body is built in a physique in a gym, you have to first conceptualize that being a reality in your mind. You have to. Before you bought your first property, before you got that mortgage, you conceptualize the idea of you getting that mortgage and you getting your house and how that looked in your mind. Before you had that child, you conceptualize the idea of what it was like of being a mother before you had the child. You conceptualized it. Everything you have in your life, everything you see in your physical reality right now was all conceptualized in your mind. So if that's the truth then, and you agree with me, wouldn't it be great then if you conceptualized a better life for yourself and started to conceptualize that on a daily basis? Wouldn't it be better if rather than going out and hooking up to avoid the life that you've got that you don't like, wouldn't it be better to spend that time meditating, journaling, learning more about yourself, so you could actually go and manifest a better reality in your life that you're living?
How much do you think environment restricts free choice?
Environment is everything. It's why, even as I'm speaking through this, and the reason I wanted to go celibate, and the reason why I talked about that at the start of the podcast, is because I'm going celibate to give myself a tight window so that I can earn the capital that I know I can earn in a short amount of time. So I then give myself more freedom to to go and do what I want in the world with my podcast and with my things, without me having to start selling assets or raising money against assets to do that, right? Because cash flow is king, right? And I want a certain amount of cash flow to facilitate the podcast at a certain amount of level, right? And if I want to hit that goal, then I've got to be willing to give up something else to be able to hit that. So the easiest thing to give up for any man listening, is just stop having sex with random people, right? Stop that. Fuck that off. Stop texting them. Stop talking to them on Instagram DMs. Stop fucking them. Stop going around there. Stop thinking about fucking them. That's hard. But put all that time and effort that you would have spent chatting up that chick or this, that and the other, put that into going and acquiring a high income skill. Put it into going and signing 5 more clients. Put it into taking yourself to the next level in the next 90 days. So I'm just saying that after this podcast, I will write down, I'll sit there with myself and I'll be like, right, 90 days, have a 90-day program. This is what's going to happen. This is what's got to be achieved in 90 days. Work back from that. What's got to go? Well, the first thing that I'll probably take away, and I've already said to you I am taking away, is going to be sex. Because if you take away sex, you've got all your testosterone yourself, and you use it, and sexual energy is creative energy, and I would rather use that to be creative within my own life and my own structure than waste it giving it to people that don't appreciate me, when I'm going to attract the beautiful women and the women that do appreciate me for the right size on the back end of me becoming my best version of myself anyway. So I don't need to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Because we've all done the fucking around, whether we're a man or a woman. We've all done the fucking around. There's no joy there. It's just soulless. It's just you getting away from yourself for a moment in time because you're fucking unhappy.
Instant gratification is
Instant
validation,
gratification, isn't it?
It's validation. What, so that you can say to your mates that you've done this, or that she says that she can say, oh, I pulled 5 guys this week. Congratulations, darling. What an achievement, right? What an achievement, mate. You've had casual sex with someone. There's no achievement there. There's no love there. We're being taught by society, by Netflix, by documentaries, by people like the Kardashians and all this, that and the other. We're taught, and by Instagram mentality, that to go away from traditional values. Traditional values are everything we should be ruthlessly fighting to keep, because the traditional values are what allow us the true freedom.
Can you tell us about some of those traditional values?
Yeah, traditional values are just giving women the respect that they deserve. I want women to understand that they are sacred beings, and they should protect their energy and protect themselves as sacred beings, like, because they are. Simple as that. Like, value yourself, value the men you're around. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There has to be masculine men. Like, there has to be men that can fight. Don't always need to fight. There's no fight to prove themselves, but can have it if they need to have it. There needs to be roles at the end of the day. Like, there needs to be roles established. Like, at the end of the day, a man should be more masculine and a woman should be more feminine, and I want more women to lean into their more feminine energy, because I found on this podcast journey that there's a lot of masculine women in the entrepreneurial space that want to have a dick and swing their dick, and I'm like, but when I break down off the podcast or away from a podcast with these women about why they feel like that, it's because of their lack of father in their life, or they've got daddy issues, or they've got this, that, and the other, so they feel like they have to prove themselves. And once these women have had a good cry and a good realization, they realize that they probably want to be, less aggressive. Like, it's even like I spoke to an entrepreneurial woman probably, say 30 days ago, very successful, made 10, 20 million in Australia. I've not had her on the podcast, but I'm like, why are you so aggressive? Why are you always trying to have a fucking dick for? Like, do you know what I mean? Why are you trying to have a dick? And when I broke it, I obviously articulated it a lot better than that, and obviously structured it a lot better, and took her through this whole process. But it basically, because of her absent dad, she'd always tried to wear things. But it's even like, we've got a dress. She don't get me wrong, she looked really hot in a suit, and she was wearing suits all the time. But I'm like, suits are masculine as fuck. Seeing a woman in a suit, even a corporate woman, is fucking horrible. I hate seeing women in suits.
I hear you, mate. I feel you.
women are meant to be wearing dresses and be feminine, and women are meant to be in flow, and they're meant to be light, and they're meant to be beautiful, and they're meant to. I want that for them. Like I want that for all you girls that are listening to this. I want that for you. I don't want to fucking see you in a fucking suit trying to own the world, trying to be. I want you to win at every level of life that you actually truly want to win at. But I don't want to see you be masculine to try and do it. And women are being courted into this environment where they're taught to be masculine, when they're taught to be like to hook up like men and this and the other. It's not the same. Like they're sacred fucking beings, and they should be treated as such. And that's why I'm so passionate about educating it, because you got to understand, in the content removal game that I've worked in, I've looked after some of the biggest women in the world, right? And I've also looked after a lot of porn stars, a lot of OnlyFans models, and this, that, and the other. And I see the darkness and the trauma that these girls have been through on a fucking regular basis, and why they do what they do. So I understand women at a whole deeper psychological level than you could ever understand, because the amount I've talked to over the period of time, suffering some of the problems that I've seen women suffering online, with content. So I know the game. And I'm telling you now that it's all comes down to the lack of value in themselves, because they're taught by other women in a lot of society that this Instagram way, this OnlyFans way, this is the way. It's not the way.
It's not the way. And also on that, no masculine man wants a masculine female for his partner. You know, I would never want a proper masculine female. I want my woman to be a woman. Do you know what I mean?
Well, masculine, but by having masculine energy, women will attract the wrong type of men anyway. Bro, to bring it, let's bring it back to both sexes. You attract what you are. So wherever you're broken, things will show up in your life to show you that you're broken in these places. And hey, by the way, you're broken here. Would you like to fix it? And you'll ignore it, and you'll blame someone else, and you'll move on. I've done it. I'm still doing it. I'm still trying to work through patterns of my past. Every one of us is. Anyone that says that they're not working through patterns of their past is a fucking liar. Like, we're all going through it. We're all going through systems, through processes, through things, through... You know, sometimes we'll think no one can understand that. I guarantee you there's someone out there going through the same or worse than you. But you have a choice, don't you? You have a choice. How do you want to move? How do you want to operate? Is it going to suit you? I'm just saying there's a lot of young people out there that we've all been guilty of in the past, where we're all out there hooking up with loads of these different partners and out there fucking just trying to get away from ourselves. And that's all it is. It's just trying to get away from ourselves. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying that it disempowers you from every other area of your life if you don't have that locked in.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And I can see how you would have got a better understanding of that, not only from the podcast, but also your business, right? Because you can see things on the flip side.
Well, I'll tell you something. The most happiest and most fulfilled, wealthiest men that I know all have a beautiful, elegant, feminine girlfriend on the back end, that they've achieved success in other areas of their life because they've had this beautiful, elegant woman behind them, right? And she's facilitating her goals by them facilitating theirs, and it should be a team effort, and it should be what we're all looking for. I just think that the world's getting twisted, because you got Andrew Tate over here saying have 16 different fucking girlfriends, which is one polar opposite, and then you got Caller Daddy over here being toxic as fuck, telling all these women to go out and fuck and talk about getting fucked and all this other shit over here. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. Yeah. And the truth is there's something kind of beautiful about, you know, a man, a woman, a team going together in one common direction, being supportive of each other. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't look for a beautiful partner that you're not physically attracted to, but there's something beautiful about that. And I've been guilty in my life of knowing that, but not living it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm saying one of the key things that I've learned in life is radical honesty, and radical honesty requires you to be honest in all areas of your life. And when you get out of this car, when you get out of this booth, wherever you are in life, wherever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you look at every area of your life. Ask yourself if you're happy with that area of your life, your health, your wealth, your happiness, your mentals. Ask yourself if you're happy with it, and then ask yourself, why am I not happy with it? What am I doing that's not congruent with who I am? And when you get more into that and understanding about more how to be congruent, I can only talk from one, my experience, and two, from what I've noticed from the podcast. The most abundantly wealthy but happy people that I know are people that are in stable relationships and they've achieved business things, because I don't believe we're meant to be alone. I don't believe really and truthfully that we're even though it can, and I'm guilty of it in the past, and everyone else that listens to this, I don't believe having multiple partners is a fucking phenomenal thing for a long-term thing. It's just not the long-term game. There's better games out there to play, but we all play them because we're wounded. And the sooner we can identify the wounds, the sooner we can free ourselves, the sooner we can move forward.
I'm completely with you on that one as well. I actually fully understand that, but I want to know as well, like, to be able to have a stable relationship, how important do you think it is to understand yourself as a person before getting into the relationship? This has
been the whole journey. So like the longest relationship I've had is 12 months. Why is that? Because I've been unstable and I haven't learned enough about myself. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to learn more about myself and learn to value myself and answer all my shadows so that I can be a good man to a good woman. Like that it all starts with you. Like, I want to be the best version of myself for myself, but also then for my partner down the track. But the only way that I attract my vibrational match of a woman to me is by going out and doing the fucking work myself and getting the work done. The problem is that many of us aren't willing to do the fucking work.
Do you not think though sometimes that rabbit hole, like looking under the mat with that stuff, is never ending?
That's the whole point. It is never ending, right? There'll always be the 1% to move. But there are some fucking big dominoes there that you can knock over. If you knock them over once in your life, they empower the rest of your whole life. So you want to knock over the big dominoes as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Well, the big dominoes come out to you mainly for a man between 30 and probably 35, 30 and 40. If you've got to the point where you're like, you've done the hookup culture, you've been through you've learned the fucking lessons, you've traveled, you've tried everything else to get away from yourself and stop doing the fucking work. Now you have to do the work.
You have to be ready for it.
You have to be ready. Yeah. I can't tell you when you're going to be ready. You're not going to be ready to listen to me right now if you're fucking 22. You're a lad. You're in the gym. You're banging you're fucking banging Diana Ball. Like, you're not going to be ready to listen to what I'm about to tell you. You're going to think I'm talking bollocks. But I've lived a lot for 34 years old, and I have tried many things to try and bring me this external happiness, money, status, vast amounts of women at certain points in my life, like surrounding myself with vast amounts of women and being promiscuous and all that stuff. What does it do? What does it do? What are you left with at the end of the day when you sat in the apartment? You sat with yourself, right? You sat with your fucking self. So wouldn't it be prudent then, if you sat with yourself for the most amount of time all your life, wouldn't it be prudent then to work on that and who that character is and how that character turns up? Because how that character turns up in your life determines every fucking other area of your life throughout your whole life. So that is the only thing that you should be invested in. That's it. How you turn up in your health, how you turn up in your wealth. It's all predicated on your mindset. Work on your mind, the body will follow. Work on your mind, the money will follow. Work on your mind, the partner will follow. Work on your mind, everything fucking follows.
The thing is, as well, is the mind is all you actually have. You don't have anything else but your mind. It's the only thing you have. So why would you not work on it?
Exactly. But you're being taught in society that you need a pill, or that mental health and all this stuff. And it's great. Everyone jumping on the mental health. Nah, mental wealth is what you should be working on. Mental wealth, not mental fucking health. Mental wealth.
Bro,
yeah?
Why do you think we're here?
Because at the end of the day, we are here on this planet to answer the shadows that we've been given. It's a journey, and it's a whole. You're meant to be present and enjoy every part of it. Enjoy working on those shadows. Like, they're not going to be fucking easy, but enjoy working on them. Every day. I enjoy working on them. I was helping you work on something you were going through before the start of this podcast, that I hope you will work through after this podcast and move through and be better on the back end of it. And that's what life is truly about. It's not about the money, but you need to the problem is we live in an economic environment, right, where there's bills to pay, and the fastest way for you to go and get the money is to create services, sell them online, and do that at velocity to free yourself from the job. That's going to give you the time and space to do the work that I'm telling you to do.
Yeah. No, I get exactly what you're saying, and I'm completely with you. Obviously, from doing the podcasting, do you feel like you've got an insight into the guest stories more, which has allowed for you to develop this like life philosophy to a certain degree?
So like what I'm trying to do throughout this podcast, I don't know if you're noticing, but I'm happy to tell my story, but I want to give people actionable advice that they can action the advice today to take from it, right? Which a lot of podcasts, especially there's a top podcast in the UK, a business podcast, where he just gets people to tell the fucking whole fucking hero's journey of this, and people listen to it and they're engulfed by it because of the production of it. It looks great, but it's a big. But you get to the end of the podcast and you're like, well, but what have you actually fucking learned? That's just someone's story. You can't learn from someone's story. You can learn from the actionable advice that's given, predicated on the learnings of someone's story, but it's not about someone's story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So when I'm talking to guests, when I've got, whether it's Matt Does Fitness, whether it's, Danny that owns Crafted, whether it's Davey Fogarty that owns the Hoodie, whether it's Example, whether it's the founder of Reebok, whoever I've had on the podcast, it's always about, that's your story. What did you learn? And how can this audience today implement some part of that in their life that can move them at least 1% further to whatever success is to them? Simple as that. And if that can be dropped at multiple times, 10, 20, 30 times, as long as one golden nugget in that lands with that person, then I've done my job. Then I've done what I came here to do. But I don't want people to just listen to what I say. I want people to feel what I say. Yeah, I want people to feel that I actually fucking want you to win when you listen to me. I've struggled a lot in my life. I've had a lot of pain. Right, I've been through a lot of pain, and I'm doing a lot of work on becoming a better man. But as a part of that, I want to share with you what I'm learning along the way, and I would like you to take that and fucking implement some parts of that into your life, because I know that on the other side of doing that, you will be a better human.
What golden nugget would you want the audience to take today from something that you've experienced and action?
I would want them to take a piece of paper out right now, write down at the top of the piece of paper your name, split it into 2 columns, write positive at the top of one, negative on the top of the other. And then on the other side of the piece of paper, write down all the names of all the people that you've been around in the last week of your life. Everyone, every name, every person at work, every person in the gym, every person in your whole fucking life. And I want you to write down, and I want you to put them into columns. Have you left the conversation with that person feeling more positive or negative? Right? Put them into the columns. When you've put them into the columns, spend more time and more conversation time with the people that leave you feeling positive from the conversations that you have with them. Decrease the amount of time that you spend with the people that are negative. You don't have to cut them off, but just decrease the time, because the negative one might be your mum. Rather than speaking to her 3 hours a day, speak to her 20 minutes a day. Do you know what I mean? You've just cut down your time. You've cut down your negativity by fucking about 80%. Yeah. By doing that in your life, that'll allow you the freedom of mind to be surrounded by more positivity, which will allow you to implement the other things that I've said would be great to implement on the back end of your life. And that would be my piece of advice.
So it's all about crafting, consuming and distributing energy.
So it's all about, before I start doing anything, I need to know where I'm at, right? Too many people want to go, I want a 6-pack. Okay, that's cool, but where are you at right fucking now? Yeah? Because at the end of the day, right, if you're 30 stone and overweight and you're thinking about a 6-pack, how's about we just figure out, rather than sitting in the apartment for 10 hours a day, how about we get you walking 10,000 steps a day? Not the gym. I don't give a fuck about the gym right now. How's about we get you moving? You're currently sedentary and I can get you moving 10,000 steps. That's going to move your life vastly further forward. And then after we drop some weight and you got a bit more confidence and you've stuck to what you said you were going to fucking do, then you introduce another habit. Well, the biggest problem that most people have is that they don't know where they fucking are. So if you know where you are, well, the fastest way to know where you are then is to know that everyone in your life never leaves you the same when you speak to them. No one. This conversation will not leave you lads the same. You'll either leave this podcast feeling better, as if I've elevated you, or worse.
Elevated.
100%.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that's every interaction you have with humans, right? That's why I was saying it's important sexually about who we spend time with, because they are going to leave you either feeling more empowered or disempowered from your interaction with that person. So every energy source. So if you write down a list of 20 names that you've spent time with this week and you put them into a positive and negative column, you've now got an actionable plan that if you want to improve next week over this week, you just spend more time with the positive people and less time with the negative ones in hours, and you just changed your whole fucking life. And it took you what? A pen, paper, and 20 minutes. And a bit of radical honesty. It's the biggest win you'll ever have in this fucking year. Why wouldn't you do that? I guarantee you 90% of people that listen to this podcast won't do that. They wouldn't even got this far because they'd have quit, right? But if you do it, I guarantee you it'll be the biggest win that you have in 2023.
For sure. No, I'm with you on that. That makes complete sense. Bro, what does podcasting mean to you now?
So podcasting means a lot to me, but I don't put it as my idol anymore. So I had to, I for such a long time, I took my professional boxing trainer idolization, and then I put my idolization into podcasting. And now, and when you do that, what happens is you create these idols, these false gods, and you put in, and this podcast or this anything that you do, it just becomes your new god, right? And you go through life having different gods, right? Some people might do it with women, some people might do it with a podcast, a business, whatever it is. You just make these new things your god. You put everything into that, and everything's about that. And if you do that, you're left, if that ever comes away from you, you're left feeling empty and purposeless. And I identified that, and I realized that yes, I love podcasting. Podcasting means the world to me because it means I get to hopefully shift many people's perspectives. Break patterns, flip perspectives is how I want to move people through life, yeah? But I also get to learn more about who I am through the process, and I want to keep the podcast as something that fulfills the goal, but I don't want it to be my only thing, yeah? Every other thing in my life has been the only thing. So how I've done that is I've disconnected myself from the outcome of the event. So all I care about is that while I'm in this podcast with you boys, while I'm in the podcast with my guests, all I care about at that time is that I'm fully present in that moment and that I'm giving my best. I don't worry about the analytics. I don't worry about all the other bullshit. I don't worry about any of that. I don't get involved in any of that. I just worry about the activity and enjoying being present in the activity. And I think if a lot of us focus on just being present and being mindful and being at one with the activity rather than what the activity can do for us, that is the freedom.
Yeah, I love that, and I think we try and do that as well, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. But then I absolutely love that the message that you're trying to spread. It's actually beautiful.
Yeah, it's sick, mate. And I guess that kind of sort of brings us to like full circle to where we're at to today. But obviously, in terms of like next steps, like what is it you're looking to achieve over the next chapter?
I'm going to build the biggest education podcast the world has. So I'm going to build.
And I believe you, mate.
Because the podcast is going to be heard, it's going to be felt, it's going to be seen on so many levels, and the kind of people that I know that I can bring into a conversation and the depth of conversation that I can have with these people and facilitate will change people's lives. And all I've got to do that is just keep going for another, I'd say 7 years, and I'll be somewhere near. It's just about reps at the end of the day. It's about having the reps. By the time if I get to 1,000 reps, or when I get to 1,000 reps, let's just change, because it's all about how you speak. So when I get to 1,000 reps, I've done 130 at the moment, but when I get to 1,000 reps, we'll know, won't we? It'll be undeniable. And then see, people try and preempt loads of stuff, but when I spoke to other people that have top podcasts, Chris Williamson that has Modern Wisdom, I said, Chris, I was in the analytics. I got into the analytics one week, and I said, Chris, have a look at this. And he looked at me, analytics. He says, mate, you're exactly where I was at the same point, and you're going to be just fine, mate. And it's just going to be a hockey stick. And when that hockey stick, you don't know when the hockey sticks come. You don't know what video it's going to come on. You don't know what podcast is going to come on. It's just loads of 1% things, and then bang, you're there. And then you get there, and then you got to keep it there when you get there. So I don't try and rush it. I feel like I'm in this moment in my life where I've got a certain level of exposure, but I've not popped off yet, right? That's the level I'm at. I'm at a certain level, but I've not popped off yet. I've not really had that breakout moment. But I just fall in love with the reps.
It's coming, mate.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter when it comes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me, because I enjoy the reps. It's not about the pop off moment. There will be one.
That,
There has been certain little movements, but the hockey stick will come. 100% it will. But it comes down to the reps. It comes down to actually being in love with it. And I think people, if they listen to me for a period of time and listen to me interview guests, I think they'll understand, like maybe you lads have understood from listening, maybe, that I fucking love it. And because I love it, it shows. And people feel that. And when people feel that, and when people start to move in their daily life because they're having movements and they're feeling better, and they're actually actioning, and they have content that they can action into their life because it's designed that way, they listen to more, and then you move people forward, and they tell their friends, and that's how you grow.
I think you radiate such an incredible type of energy. Like, I'm actually genuinely, I'm so happy that I've sat and had this conversation with you today. Like, I'll take so much of what you said away and implement it into my own personal life. Like you said that you meet people at specific times in your lives, and you do things at certain times, like you had a few pinnacle moments. I genuinely feel like this could be one for me, having this conversation with you. I genuinely do, mate. Like, I'm so happy I've come here. I don't know how you feel, Jack, but...
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think, like you said, everything happens for a reason, right? And we're just starting on our journey.
You boys are building what you're building, and however it ends up, don't put any framework around how that looks. Or I appreciate you saying that. It's kind of you to say, but I just want to move people forward, and I just want you to understand that when you go on this journey, it's not about the external validation of building a podcast and all this bullshit that people tell you about, and it's not about how many listeners you get and this and the other. It's about you enjoying what you're doing and building something that's meaningful to you, and no one else can tell you what's meaningful to you other than you boys, right? So don't get that people look at what externally people are doing and try and match and mirror that. I wouldn't even look at it. I'd just do what you do and feel and feel it out how you feel it out. Your journey is your fucking journey, right? Yeah. Ideally speaking, I don't want anyone working a job, because I think it's a dumb idea. But that's not how the world's going to work. If no one worked a job, who could care for all the people in the hospital? Nurses, doctors, I give them the biggest respect. Yeah. So my argument on that is a bullshit argument. If everyone didn't have a job, do you know what I mean? The world wouldn't work. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to challenge what you think as well in a lot of areas of your life. You'll have to learn that throughout this podcast game. But I just tell people that because I want to give them a kick, because I want to give them a move. I want to create that movement in their life. You know, that fucking let's go. Let's go. Let's right. It's now time to go through the gears. If I can create that movement in you, for you, not for me, for you. I don't know you from a bar of soap, but if I can create that for you, that's going to create a positive ripple, because it doesn't affect just you. It affects how you treat your mum. It affects how you treat your wife. It affects how you turn up for your husband. It affects how you turn up for your boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? Like, it affects everything else.
It's a butterfly effect.
It's a butterfly effect. You listen to stuff like this. It empowers you to move forward. You implement something. You get a result. It affects your children and everyone else around them, and then your children's friends because they're better, because they're not getting shouted at home. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a ripple effect to everything. So when you think that something doesn't matter, I guarantee you it fucking does.
For sure. And I think we'll probably leave it on that, as it is a pretty iconic statement, to be fair. But obviously, mate, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been unbelievable, super inspiring, not only inspiring, but also relatable for me, just because there's a lot of things that you said in that conversation where it hit home. I was literally having a flashback to certain things that I've been thinking personally about myself. So I want to say thank you from both of us. Cal, you got anything to say?
No, just want to mimic what you said and what I said earlier, mate. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate you boys coming around, and I hope you enjoyed the little content house that we got here.
Yeah, mate.
And yeah, much love. And guys, do me a solid favor. Yeah, drop these boys a review on the podcast. It helps them out. You know, it just helps things move. Drop them a review, share their content, because, you know, even if you shared 3 podcasts already, share this one. If you resonate, let me know in the DMs, let the boys know in the DMs how you felt about this content. I think we'd all appreciate that.
Sure.
And if you feel so called, and if you do me a solid favor, have a listen to my podcast, the Frankie Lee podcast.
Get
and
on it.
And if you and I hope this has moved you, but hopefully there was some other content in there. Support these boys and listen to mine as well, and I think you'll move a damn sight further in life.
For sure. Frankie, you're a G, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, brother.
Cheers, boys. Much love.